Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the third game of the Survivor trilogy and is the final part to Lara's origin story. After unwittingly triggering a series of cataclysms, Lara now has to locate a mythical item before the Order of Trinity does and prevent the apocalypse. Crystal Dynamics, who were the original developers of the reboot, now take a step back into a supporting role, leaving it to Eidos-Montréal to build on the success of the previous two games. In this video, I've managed to put together as many Easter eggs, references, and any other points of interests that I could find. And if you do enjoy this, then subscribe, that way you can stay up to date on all future content I put up. Now it's time to go with Lara once again, to find the hidden city of Paititi. Starting with the intro cutscene, we see Lara trying to control a plane in the midst of a storm, which then breaks apart in mid-air, separating her from Jonah. This homages the TV series Lost, as the passenger airline is splitting during flight and separating the show's characters to different parts of the jungle is similar to the game's starting events. This is not the first time that the developers have referenced Lost in the Survivor trilogy, as I've already shown in 3 previous TR videos. At the beginning of gameplay, Lara has to pass by a bunch of dead Trinity soldiers amongst other older corpses to progress further into the cavern, but there's one even more disturbing imagery that can easily be missed in this poorly lit area. One body, positioned on top of this rock, appears to have had their head replaced with another one that looks to belong to a jaguar. In all 3 games, Lara wears the same jade necklace. Though I've already mentioned in previous videos what it refers to, I didn't mention what the necklace actually is. The symbol is a magatama, which is a comma-shaped stone or jewel used for Japanese decorative jewellery or for ceremonial and religious objects. Lara supposedly found it at one of her father's dig sites, and it was made into a necklace for her, so wearing it seems to have obvious sentimental value as it always reminds Lara of her father. Walking around the town square in Cozumel and interacting with people, instead of going toward the story waypoint right away, can trigger additional conversations between Lara and Jonah, where they reference several people from past games.
Maybe we should light candles for Alex and Ralph.
I'd like that. And Jacob too. I'm not really used to crowds.
You'd rather storm guards or the deathless?
No, this is fine.
Got a birthday call from Sam this year. When's the last time you spoke to her?
She called when we were in Bali. I'm meaning to get back to her.
Jonah also mentions Lara's childhood love for Jaffa cakes, first revealed in the Dark Horse comics, and mentioned in a note by her butler Winston from the DLC Blood Ties.
If I see anyone selling Jaffa cakes...
That would be strange in Mexico.
But if I did...
Yes, I'd want some.
In the passage behind the music stage, Lara and Jonah will react to a familiar looking bike. You can find the same bike design copied and pasted throughout Cozumel, but it does look like it homages the bike Lara rides from the original 1996 game. A small detail from the DLC Blood Ties makes it into the sequel. One of the key items needed in Croft Manor is the flashlight. As Blood Ties takes place before the events in Siberia, it's safe to assume Lara did forget to pack it, as she had to make do with glow sticks. By the time Lara goes to Mexico, she remembers to bring it. After escaping the temple with a dagger, Lara fights a group of Trinity soldiers. At one point, she mentions her dislike for helicopters, alluding to her bad luck with them in the previous games.
Target sighted!
Always hated helicopters.
Back in the present, Lara awakens in the jungle, still buckled into her seat in a tree. This is another Lost reference, as a similar event happens to one of the characters from the tail section of the Broken Plane. Throughout the game, the player can explore and find collectibles. One selection of relics and documents are about British explorer Percy Harrison Fawcett and his expedition into South America in search of a legendary city in the jungles of Brazil. This is based on the actual person who disappeared in 1925 during his search for the lost city of Z, but the game fictionalizes it as Lara discovers in the Peruvian jungle that his search led him to Peru, where Fawcett is attacked by jaguars and eventually dies from his wounds. After the Jaguar battle, there's a cutscene where the creature looks face to face with Lara that is similar to one moment in Alien 3, though some may argue that being covered in mud and battling predators in the jungle could be homaging the Predator movie. Like in the last game, if you play Tomb Raider on February 14th, the loading screens may display Happy Birthday Lara. During gameplay at Croft Manor, you can see into the distance of the English countryside a silhouette of a large building. It stands out and it looks like a reused model of the building seen on top of the cliffs above the geothermal valley in Rise of the Tomb Raider. In this flashback scene with Amelia Croft, you can see in the painting a T-Rex. Adding the plush toy from Blood Ties, it would seem Lara has a fondness for them. It's a shame then that whenever she encountered them in the original games, they all tried to eat her. Unlikely homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark can be found in this puzzle chamber. During the Path of the Living Dead mission, where you have to open several stone doors to proceed, you have to avoid falling into the pits filled with deadly snakes. Like the island of Yamatai and the sunken ruins of Kitesh, the hidden city of Paititi is based on actual legends. A missionary from the 1600s called Andre Lopez, who was also fictionalized for the game, wrote to the Vatican about a rich city made in gold and jewels, and since then has only added fuel to the myth that the city is out there deep in the Amazon, and many expeditions over the last century have tried to find its location. Wandering around Paititi, you may notice one or two llamas, but did you know that if you pet 5 of them, you'll get a trophy achievement? During the nighttime mission in the Porvenir oil fields, 2 Trinity soldiers named Ralph and Sam greet each other, which is a reference to the Looney Tune characters Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog.
Evening, Ralph.
Evening, Sam.
Morning, Ralph.
Morning, Sam.
There's an obscure thing that can happen to Lara if the player fools around in public areas. It takes a bit of effort, but if she runs into enough people, Lara can fall flat on her face. Another small detail can happen when Lara walks toward her final objective of the game. The Ishel warriors will move out of her way and bow to her as she passes by, but go off script and walk right up to any of them, and they will also cower in fear of her. The DLC from the last game of the TR1 low-res training outfit is now replaced with a high-res version called Croft Fitness. The tank top shows a fictional insignia called the Sisters of Artemis. It's seen a few times throughout the Survivor trilogy, like on a drink flask, and is referencing the Greek goddess of hunting, which is someone Lara personifies. In the last cutscene back in Croft Manor, there are a few things of interest to see that is probably meant to make the player reminisce on all 3 of the games that now concludes Lara's origin story. The items seen here are the Stormguard General's broken sword, a Japanese Noah mask, and 2 ceremonial daggers brought back from Yamatai, including the Team Endurance photo she recovered from her cabin. Amongst the items collected from this game is the Atlas artifact from Siberia that was used to find the city of Kitesh. And after the butler Winston makes his first appearance in the trilogy, we can see some of Amelia's paintings that were in the Blood Ties DLC. And in case anybody missed this small detail in Lara's childhood painting, Richard Croft has now been added to the picture. And for the last entry, we'll take a look at the original scene before the Day 1 patch, in which the developers apparently said that they were exploring multiple endings and mistakenly included the wrong one for the final game, and there are some interesting differences, like seeing Roth's guns on the small table that becomes Lara's iconic dual pistols. But it's the letter that had people excited, because the name Jacqueline Natler was on it, who's the main villain from the 1996 game and later in the Legend trilogy. Skion Tower is named after the Atlantean artifact, and the location Calcutta, India was the country Natler hired Lara from to begin her search for the Skion pieces, though this would have been a continuity error due to the fact that Calcutta was renamed to Kolkata in 2001 and wouldn't make sense in the reboot as Lara was born in 1992. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking into doing 1 or maybe 2 fighting games for the next videos. I'm still planning on doing a Red Dead Redemption 2 epic series which will be broken into several videos based around different regions of the map. And I'll be looking into doing a few retro games as well from the PS1 and 2 eras that I'll upload between the Red Dead Redemption videos. So if you haven't yet and you want to see more content like this, then subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. And as always, thanks to all of you who have subscribed and are helping to make this channel grow. So until the next video, bye everyone.